I finally got around to watching Ted Lasso the other day, and imagine my surprise when I find out he's practically my next door neighbor. I looked it up and this is his apartment. I just want to point out that I've been taking photos here since like 4 years before Ted Lasso was ever a thing. That's been my photo shoot spot since long before it was cool. So anyways. All right, we're headed up there. You ready? Oh, well, we're going anyway. My dad owns the domain name appideas.com, and he says he wouldn't sell it for less than $200,000. The absolute minimum that you would sell your domain for.
Probably 200,000.
Now, my dad isn't a domain flipper and actually has no intention of selling, but he's received many offers over the years, including one from GoDaddy themselves. P.S. Their offer pretty much amounted to a scam. Simple tech-related domains that may or may not be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, like appideas.com, are pretty much gone in 2022, but there is still money to be made. In this video, I'm going to explain the process of finding that perfect domain name, what it takes to actually sell it for a profit, and if you keep on watching toward the end, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that all these other domain flipping videos and business gurus leave out, probably intentionally. Hey, my name is Christian, but you can call me Lil. One thing that I really don't understand, there's this field of cows over here. Anybody who lives in Richmond knows that the cows are family, so I feel a little bit hurt by Ted Lasso. There's a surprising lack of cows, of these cows in particular. You can buy domains at Google Domains. .com domains are $12 per year. I do not recommend you buy from anywhere else. I don't care how good a discount GoDaddy gives. Everything they say is a load of and everything they do is a scam. Do not buy anything from GoDaddy. So you take that domain name that you bought from Google Domains for $12 and you sell it, ideally for a profit. Ipso facto, you are a domain flipper.
Ipso facto.
I'll tell you where to sell it a little bit later in this video. First, I want to go over some winning strategies for finding domain name. Number one, buy like brand name. I've seen this one mentioned in other videos, but I never really heard a good explanation. Take a trusted brand, like Apple, and buy stuff that sounds similar or rhymes with the brand. Mapple, Papple, Crapple. Unfortunately, Apple's the largest company in the world, and anything that sounds remotely like it is already taken. But there are, of course, lesser known brands all over the world, still worth hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. Not even like 15 minutes ago, my wife found Swiggle.com, which is really similar to a company here in the UK called Smiggle. The domain name is currently being sold for $260,000. Now, I don't know if it'll ever sell at that price, but with sales nearing $500 million annually, Smiggle won't think twice about a sale that large if they decide one day that they want the domain. Number two, smashing keywords. Let me introduce you to Julian Hearn, founder of a multi-billion-dollar British meal replacement company called Huel. Julian is not a domain flipper, but he did buy his company's domain name from one for the lecca sum of $10,000. Buy for $12, sell for $10,000. That's like a 1,000,000% profit margin, right? Julian outlined his experience dealing with the original owner, and he came across like he was actually pretty pissed at the domain flipper pretty much their entire interaction. But he actually gave us some of the best advice for getting into domain flipping.
So maybe just write down a list of the names that are associated with your product.
Yeah.
And you can cut them up.
Yeah.
And then bash them together, and you might find a word appears in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I did with Huel.
Huel is basically a portmanteau for human fuel. Now put yourself in your buyer's shoes. They don't just buy domain names. They buy the feelings, emotions, the vision of what the company is. You don't have to build a business, but start with a vision. Come up with keywords that evoke the emotions that your eventual buyer will want their customers to feel, and start mashing things together. I think the domain flipper who owned Huel.com knew from the beginning that it rhymes with fuel and could be a business that has something to do with energy, nutrition, supplements, or something similar. It's not exactly a secret. In sort of that same vein, Huel is like a cool word, but you don't have to make words up. Take a vague concept like mindset. Mindset is something that people like me talk about all the time. It's an idea that hundreds of thousands of individual businesses are dedicated to, and start throwing connecting words and concepts to it until you find something you know will stick. When I did this exercise myself, I came up with the hacker mindset. Just as a testament to this method, that domain is on sale for $1,700. And I would totally blow that much money on it if I had it to lose. I'm pretty sure I want that to be the title of my book. Anyway, my daughter's birthday is tomorrow. If anyone wants to buy her a present, thehackermindset.com. Nowadays, my wife and I have around 50 domain names that are supposedly worth a few $1,000s each. It obviously takes a little bit of experimenting, but I think there are thousands of potentially good names with the word mindset in them. Domain names you could probably sell, but therein lies the problem that really nobody talks about. If thehackermindset.com is taken, what's to stop me from just getting the hacked mindset, or a hacker's mindset, or even thehackermindset.io? Those are all available as of the recording of this video. Now, if I have a multi-million-dollar business surrounding the term, I might be interested in just spending the 10 grand. But what are the actual chances of that happening? happening. Spoiler alert, very slim. Domains are usually picked at the beginning of a business, and if it's not available, the business often pivots into something else. And it's foolish to think a business even needs that great a domain name. Julian Hearn, the Huel guy, the CEO of multi-billion-dollar company, has stated on record that he would not have paid a cent more than that $10,000 for Huel.com. And for that reason, the majority of premium domain names expire unsold, even truly great ones. It's true that the most expensive domain name ever sold for a cool $872 million, but it's also true that your chances of selling it at all are like the chances of you winning the lottery. Now let's do a little math. If you're anything like the original owner of Huel.com, you hold on to your domain names for at least 4 years. That's $12 a year times 4 years equals $48. Statistics show that you'll probably sell about 1 in 100 of your domains, but I'll be generous and say it's 1 in 25. That means that you have to sell that one for $1,200 just to break even. Add to that, the average premium domain name sells for around $300. Your odds aren't just against you, they've backed you straight into a corner. Some of you might get lucky, others may be in a small minority who do actually make money as a business. It's not quite gambling, but it's not exactly a winning business strategy either. So here's how you can actually make money flipping domains. Add value. I mentioned my dad earlier in this video. He is not a domain flipper, however, he's been in IT for over 30 years. We went out and got drunk in Camden the other night. Okay, so what are you doing?
Well,
So he'd lost all his inhibitions when I quizzed him about the domain names his companies have bought and sold. One of his companies recently sold a domain name for $75,000. Why did the buyer buy? Content and traffic. The actual domain name was so irrelevant to the sale that my dad couldn't even remember what it was. Now the direction of this video is shifting, and I'm gonna stop calling it domain flipping right now and start calling it website flipping. Because as I think I've made it clear, to have any real hope of selling a domain name, you have to have more than just the domain. Here are the 5 things that a buyer is looking for when buying a website: branding, content, traffic, social media accounts, email list. That's 5, right? Those things are all worth money, you know, like real dollars instead of imagination points. Now, I am gonna go through each of those individually, but you don't have to hit them all. Even one of them is worth something. Hitting 2 or 3 really well will amplify the value of your website many times over. Branding. Designers can charge anywhere from a few $100s to tens of thousands for solid brand design. And there are a lot of people who would rather it just be done already. Aside from that, it can really help your potential buyers visualize the domain. I mentioned earlier that your domain should evoke emotion. And while you can do that with a clearly killer domain name by itself, having the design together can really help seal the deal. These are exactly the types of buyers that websites like brandpod.com have risen to serve. They still call themselves a domain flipping website, but every domain comes with a logo and other visuals that help the buyer really like feel the website. As a result of this one thing alone, BrandPod sells domains for an average of $3,000, roughly 10 times what's considered normal for a premium domain. Just for clarity, those are numbers they gave me, so take it with a grain of salt, but it is probably significantly better. Content. As previously mentioned, one of my dad's companies sold a domain for $75,000, and it was primarily because of the quantity of quality content in a particular niche. Some people will make the mistake of thinking that it's the traffic that makes this valuable, but the content can actually be valuable on its own. I'm not at liberty to discuss too many specifics of my dad's company's sale, but if you have 1,000 really high quality articles, even on a brand new website with no traffic at all, and you import those into a high domain authority website that gets lots of organic traffic, interlink them between the existing content, and set up 301 redirects from the old website, that new content, those 1,000 articles, will almost immediately start generating tons more traffic. Traffic that can generate more leads, more sales, more ad revenue. Companies like the one my dad's company sold to, they pay freelancers and other content creators really good money. So you can imagine having 1,000 articles in a particular niche, even without a website behind them, has a certain, dollar value to them. I'm not saying you have to be a speedwriter to sell a website. Hold out for the next section about how you can create consistent content easily. Traffic. Now, it's very unlikely that you will start writing 1,000 blog articles and not generate any traffic. It just happens naturally as Google indexes your pages, rewards you for consistency, etc. You as a domain flipper are creating value for your website buyer when you generate traffic. It's hard to know exactly how much that traffic is worth, but I did an analysis on a website called Flippa. Now, Flippa is a marketplace where you can buy and sell other websites. As far as I can tell, you have to have revenue to sell here as they sell businesses, but it's pretty easy to meet their qualifications. Now, according to what I saw of their actual sales, on average, a website with with 97, 98% margins. So think like affiliate sites with other passive income streams where money and effort are really no longer required. They sell for about 40 months worth of revenue. It's a little over 3 years worth of revenue. That means to have a website worth $10,000, you need to be making about $250 in passive income. I also analyze the traffic of these websites, and to generate that much revenue, on average, you need to hit about 4,000 hits per month in organic traffic. That sounds like a big number, but it's actually not for a website. I have several of them that do that, several that I haven't touched in years. And I never would have thought for a second that I might be sitting on that much money. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it's not that hard to generate that much traffic. All I've ever done to get there is write and publish really mediocre content. Might I add, mediocre content that is really not any better than what I've gotten out of AI writers like Jasper and Copy.ai. I'm not gonna get too technical about the AI blog writers I use. Suffice it to say that this is what I'm experimenting with right now. I have around 10 websites that each have a full-time dedicated remote worker virtual assistant. They use the AI writers to publish around 20 blog articles a day, and the VAs also manage all the social media accounts and email lists. If you guys remember my video about building a company from scratch last month, promismo.com is one of those websites, and it's already getting about 20 hits per day, or 600 per month. It's not inconceivable that I could have 10 websites, each worth between $10,000 and $30,000 in the next 6 months to a year, and all generating a few $100s each in affiliate or ad revenue. Obligatory. If you want to hire trained remote workers straight from my team to do this or any other job, you can. For a lot less than what you'll probably find on Upwork, and much better quality than what you'll find on Freelancer. You can, of course, do this without my agency, Lil Assistance, but we're the best. My script says wink. Anyway, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm gonna go ahead with and combine my last 2 points here, an email list and social media accounts. Anyone buying a website will look for these things, and they are reasonably easy to just start at the beginning. Now, if you have a website, especially one that has content on it, and you're not generating email lists and working on the social media, you are leaving money on the table. It's hard to gauge exactly how much they're worth to a potential website buyer, as sites like Flippa don't publish email lists or social media accounts, and I can't use the same method of analysis, but outside sources peg a good email list to be worth at least $20 per email. So a website with a 1,000-person email list could sell for $20,000 on that basis alone. All you really have to do to build your email list is give stuff away for free. People come flocking. Speaking of, I'm giving away 1 month with one of my trained remote workers for free. It's worth about $800, and all you have to do is head to callmelil.com, wait for the pop-up, and subscribe to my email list. And also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. The remote worker you get will be someone who can build websites, write blog articles, do SEO, data entry, graphic design, basically anything that you need to set up or run an online business. And in case it's not obvious enough, we're obviously paying this person's salary. It's not like they're working for free. In subscribing to my email list, you'll be entered into a drawing, and you'll start receiving business and outsourcing related emails. If you think I just spent 20 minutes telling you to stop flipping domain names and start building businesses, yes, that's exactly what I did. The bad news is that simply buying and selling domain names really is a losing proposition. The good news is that building websites with real value has never been easier. Richmond is objectively the most beautiful place in London, and I'm not just saying that because I live here. There's the obvious natural beauty, but there's something really special about Richmond in that there's basically no dominant language. And I'm not just saying that. You can be walking by basically the most beautiful riverside in the world, and you walk by one person and they're speaking British. The next you walk by and they're speaking German. The next one is, Farsi. The next one is Spanish. You ask them where they're from Ecuador. They've been here for 5 years. The next one is Romanian. The next one is Polish. The next one is American. The next one is New Zealand. It's just a really interesting place that attracts lots of different people from all walks of life.
He must be from England. Yeah, Wales. Is that another country?
Yes and no.
How many countries are in this country?
4.
I always figured that tea was just gonna taste like hot brown water. And you know what? I was right. Yeah, it's horrible.